Hi, and welcome back to Rate That Album, a back and forth album review between myself, Joe Fremming, and my good friend Paul Muad'Dib. Paul, how you feeling this week?
You know what I'm going to do, Joe? I'm going to sew your asshole shut, and then I'm going to keep feeding you, and feeding you, and feeding you.
Oh, yeah. That's a... So Paul gave us a little hint at our album we're discussing this week. We're coming up to the year 36 Chambers. We are discussing Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers debut album by hip-hop organization at this point, the Wu-Tang Clan, Paul.
An organization it is these days, dude.
It's huge. They're so I'm not going to go through the origin stories of the Wu-Tang because that's just there's documentaries out there on that. But I mean it's a juggernaut. This group, let's just say for their debut album, there's 9 rappers. It was recorded on a pretty tight budget, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah,
RZA. He's the producer. He's kind of like the organizer. He's the kind of the dude who spearheaded the philosophy of Wu-Tang. Now, I'm not super familiar with their philosophy, but like it incorporates 70s kung fu movies, growing up in the streets of New York, comic book imagery. Anything else? Numerology too.
Numerology, dude. Let me just say that for like a hip hop album, and what these guys were, these are the biggest fucking dorks on the planet, and I love that they put an album together.
When you have a old dirty bastard referencing the Warriors,
right?
I'm in.
Dude, I am in like Flynn, man. Yeah, this is this. I'm so glad you picked this album. Go on, sir.
Yeah. So again, this. Let me see here. Let me check my notes. This came out in 1993. It didn't fly onto my radar until, embarrassingly, I want to like 15 years later. I knew who the Wu-Tang was. By the time I was getting familiar with hip hop, Old Dirty Bastard was an entity unto himself.
Right. ODB, Big Baby Jesus, Dirt
McGirt. Son Unique.
And Dirt McGirt.
Dirt McGirt. Yeah, so by the time I get around to getting into Wu-Tang, I'm already in my mid-20s. I get into it because I go through a nasty breakup, not a divorce. That was a different person. And I just, to heal my wounds, I gravitate towards early 90s, late 80s, early 90s gangster rap for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I buy 2 albums, Straight Outta Compton by NWA.
Yep.
And Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers.
Dude, yeah, if you're going to get into any 2 of them, you're starting at the right spot, buddy.
Oh, yeah. So, Paul, what is your history with Wu-Tang? I'm guessing you probably got into them way before I did.
I did a little bit because after we graduated from high school, I started hanging out with some guys, and they were in the more rap hip hop than I was, and we would sit there and we'd kind of jam. They would jam out to Wu-Tang, and I also gravitated more towards ODB for whatever reason. And then when I saw, then when I started listening to them at Wu-Tang, I started getting into that. And then when Old DB died in 2004, I got into them way heavy again. Like I went back through and was listening to a bunch of the old stuff, and I think that happened to a lot of people. Like when ODB died, I think there was like this Wu-Tang became relevant again.
Yeah. And, I gravitate towards Old Dirty Bastard. He's like, we'll discuss it, but he's like the charismatic, like he just pops. when his rhymes come up.
Oh God, yeah.
But I also gravitate towards the RZA because he put this shit together, man, and like he's come up with the philosophy. I believe he wrote a book on the Wu-Tang philosophy.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, RZA wrote a book about the Wu-Tang. Yes, he did. And yeah,
he's directed a kung fu movie. He did the soundtracks for the Kill Bill movies.
Yep.
Yeah, so like these guys are all just fascinating to me, and again, there's a lot of these dudes in the band. But the core right now we're talking about, and let me get to the list because it is 9 people.
Yep.
It's Inspectah Deck, Ghostface Killah, the Jizza, Masta Killa, Method Man, ODB, RZA, Raekwon, and You God. And I can at least say they all have a solo album that's been released that I really like.
Yeah. No, this is talent. I will say, just on the other side of it, I think as much as ODB was the charismatic one, right? Like, absolutely. Everybody knows ODB. And I don't care who you are, ODB did something you fucking like. Fuck off.
He became kind of like the focal point, like how Flava Flav was with Public Enemy.
Yes.
Kind of like cartoonish in a sense. He was Old Dirty Bastard, if anything, was over the top.
Yeah. And I think there was kind of this reputation because of ODB, his antics, right? But outside of that, when you really look at who all these were, I mean, come on, man. Ghostface Killah, are you fucking serious right now?
Man, holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit. RZA, RZA's fucking the shit. Gizza, who joined them later, Capadonna. This is some fucking high-class talent that I think was overshadowed a little bit by, not even a little bit, but by ODB's antics. And in a way, he did them favors and also did him a lot of disservice.
Yeah, and of all the things too, and like when I was listening to this, another thing that stuck out to me is like this is like one of the all-time greatest debut albums, in my opinion. Something that like I don't think they've come close to like replicating.
No.
Over the years. I mean, this was just like front to back, just solid. And again, it's 9 at the core of this album is 9 people, and they've kind of I believe they expanded them even more. That's hard to like sustain.
Yeah, I mean, they have expanded it, but in a way it's still the core. Like it is this group. I mean, when you look at them, it is this group. But yeah, I mean, it's become a corporation in a way, but really when you look at what Wu-Tang is, it's these 9 people.
Yeah. And like, I love it too, because this album is like a kind of a shock of recognition with the 70s Kung Fu references and samples. So I just kind of wanted to bring this up. Like if you grew up in like the 80s, like we did, cable was brand new, and these channels were buying content dirt cheap. They were buying the cheapest they can, just so they could have something to air between commercials. That's basically what it was. See, you would have all these channels kind of like, and what was cheap? Westerns and kung fu movies. So there was a lot of this on cable TV when we were growing up. I don't know if I've seen what this album's kind of like referencing a lot, which is, the 36th Chamber of the Shaolin. I'm sure I have at some point, but I don't know for sure.
Let me, please I'm raising my hand. Let me. So, oh my God. Okay. So you have to understand that not only, 36 Chambers of the Shaolin is all part of something else that's greater, and that is Shaw Brothers Studio. And if you haven't, almost all of the Shaw Brothers martial arts films are free on Prime. If you got Amazon Prime, you could see a shit ton. I mean, and when we talk about When I say they put out a shit ton, the Shaw Brothers were cranking these things out like fucking candy, dude. I mean, it is awesome. And there was a guy by the name of Gordon Liu, who was in a lot of these. And Gordon Liu, you would recognize him if you saw him. But he was in at least 70 of these Shaw Brothers films. And there was actually 36 chambers of the Shaolin. There's 36 chambers of the actually there's more than that, but I'm going to go to the main 3 because there's a bunch of rip-offs. That's the other thing. The Shaw Brothers were notorious because they'd rip themselves off and put out like things that weren't. But yeah, you had 36 chambers of the Shaolin, Return of the 36 Chambers, and Disciples of the 36 Chambers, and there was a couple other that were like 32 chambers as well.
Let's say Old Dirty Bastard's solo album is called Return to the 36 Chambers.
Right.
Direct reference to that sequel.
Exactly. And they are pulling samples from this. I mean, it is straight up samples, and I can hear it.
Which, again, I'm imagining is probably dirt cheap to free for them to do at this time. Like, sampling was still brand new, but like, if you're going to sample something, you're going to sample something that the copyright means nothing to. And
all this movie really is it's like an ultimate training montage, really, of this movie. So you have, let's talk about the chambers. You have the top chamber, which is considered the highest chamber, where the monks recite Buddhist sutras from memory. You have the 35th chamber, where it teaches lightness and balance. The monk in training must jump on a bundle of sticks floating in a pool of water to reach the dining hall. The third chamber is strengthening the arms. You got to carry buckets of water with blades attached to their arms to keep their blades straight out. Go on.
Also, nipped by Tarantino for the aforementioned Kill Bill movies with Uma Thurman's training with Pai Mei. A lot of that kind of like training ridiculousness.
Pai Mei is a character in a lot of the Shaolin of the Shaw Brothers movies, 100%. And
so go on.
Right. I mean, and then you have wrist training, where they had to strike a gong with weighted poles in rhythm of the master's head. I mean, you had eyesight where they had to follow light without turning their head or get burned by sticks of incense. I mean, it is nuts. It is just see it. It's brilliant. And I'm so glad that 9 fucking nerds out of a hip hop group
from Staten Island, which is another, you don't expect this kind of, you don't hear of hip hop from Staten Island.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is just everything about this. I mean, this is like the Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique on like a whole nother fucking 20-story, 30-story, 40-story building. This is just fantastic.
Yeah, because they kind of come, and it's interesting. It's debut. They come in with like these, personas, and fully ingrained, like referencing the chambers. They're referencing the Shaolin chambers. It's wild, man. It's fucking wild how just like for how like kind of sparse the production is. Like the lyrics are pretty dense.
I mean, on which one was it? Protect Your Neck, where 8 of the 9 of them are rapping on it. I mean, holy fuck, man. And they're all referencing each other, too. I love it. Like, they're introducing each other and doing shit and playing off of shit.
Yeah, Paul, after the last couple albums we discussed, we really needed something to nerd out on.
Oh, we did. And this is like the ultimate nerd album, man. This is so fucking good.
It's nerd album, and it still had street cred, too, like, when it came out. I mean, like, this was
raw.
It's raw. At times very angry, and at times, like you meant, very nerdy.
Dude, bring the motherfucking ruckus. Bring the motherfucking ruckus.
Oh yeah, and like I love this album so much when I first listened to it. Like back when you could rip music onto Xbox, I play a lot of wrestling games. Like my entrance music for my creative wrestler was Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. So good, dude. So good. Yeah. I know it's interesting enough that doesn't have ODB on it.
No, but that's fine. Again, 9 rappers.
Yeah.
You know, they can't be everywhere. They all shine in their own way, which is really cool too.
They do, but man, I mean, right away when ODB comes in, man, I'm sorry. At this point in my life, and ODB had some demons, man. He did. I'm not going to glorify the man in terms of, some of the things he did in his personal life, but you know what, man? And to me, he was the Morrissey of hip hop. Like, he was in on the joke, and then unfortunately, he became the joke.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing. But every time ODB comes on, I can't help but smile and just go, "Oh, ODB."
Well, his cadence and his delivery, and it's just like it's sloppy but fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of finesse there.
Yeah, and so let's talk about like our highlights of the album. I don't imagine there's a lot of lowlights. There's some tracks that for me just kind of blend in a little bit.
Yeah,
but so what are your top? Let's do like top 3. Let's limit ourselves, even though we're talking about like what a fucking 12
now
album.
I will say that I listen, and this is on me. I got mine from YouTube Music, and I listened to like the deluxe version of this. So there was a couple of things there, and I just want to pull up the tracks that weren't originally on
remixes. There's a remix of Protection Neck, Method Man, and Cream.
Yes. And so like the ones that bring the motherfucking ruckus, dude. Like,
how great is that as an intro?
That is like one of the best intros ever.
And I was watching a little thing about this album on YouTube today, and kind of like the snare in the song was the RZA hitting like a paint can or a garbage can. That's why it has that raw sound to it.
So fucking good. I mean, obviously, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with is fantastic. I mean, Protect Your Neck. I mean, again, you got everyone rapping on this motherfucker and introducing each other. It's so goddamn good.
And it doesn't sound sloppy either, like, which is something like I would be kind of concerned with as a producer. Like, oh shit, I have 9 people rapping in like a 4 or 5 minute song.
Yeah. I mean, Method Man has his own fucking track. The mystery
which is just awesome.
Which is just awesome. The mystery of chess boxing. What the fuck, guys? It's just, I mean, they're pulling dialogue from Shaolin and Wu-Tang. They're pulling shit from fucking 5 Deadly Venoms, which I've seen, like, all of those. I mean, fuck, dude. The 7th Chamber, they sample fucking Otis Redding. What the fuck are they doing, dude? This is... I can't... Like, I love this out. Like, is there a bad one? Yeah, maybe the intermission.
Yeah, the intermissions I kind of, like... I got a little bored with, but... Yeah. I mean... But yeah, like... Cream, I love. Cash Rules Everything Around Me, which is just...
Which is a great...
It has that good line at the beginning where, he, like... From the bad side, the New York Times or something like that. And it's just fucking like, yeah, like they're rapping about like really crazy kung fu movie stuff, but they also are rapping about like real things in their lives. Like,
yeah,
that's the real world. Like, cash rules everything around us, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it's not really a glorification of that either. It's
no. And what I find interesting is in hindsight, reading and listening to this album is that, they're talking about wanting to be big, and they're not, and like the aspirations and the dreams that they have, and they're rapping about this shit. So, I mean, and to see them have that gotten it is just like, that's awesome. You know what I mean?
They did sell that album for $1 million to Martin Scorsese.
Right?
Which the members were not happy that he won that.
No.
And then he ended up selling it because, Turd Burglar got caught in his own bullshit, so.
He Gilmered it.
He Gilmered his own life.
He Gilmered his own life.
God, it's just wild, like, where and they're like their aspirations, and considering how weird this album is, it's it shouldn't work, but it does. You know what I mean? Like,
works so well.
Like, you have 9 rappers singing about kung fu movies, comic books, street life, numerology, which we touched on our Twin Peaks podcast. I don't understand any of it, but I'm all in on the Wu-Tang philosophy at this point.
Fuck yeah, dude! It's awesome. It's awesome.
And I'll go through I'll do 3. Bring the Ruckus. I mean, it's just
a banger. It's just a fucking banger.
It's followed by Shame on a. I'm not going to say it because I'm not comfortable with that word. I don't feel like I should say it. So, but I love it because we get our introduction to Old Dirty Bastard, and that's where he throws his warriors come out play,
and that's where he said the
and it works, and it's just like it's not like he's not like he's just a comic relief. He has like serious fucking lines in this album.
Oh fuck yeah, he does. Yeah,
and then as I said, I already mentioned 2 hits, but like one I really like that's kind of like RZA goes on and kind of expanding on with one of solo, The Mystery of Chess Boxing.
Yes.
Because I believe one of his solo albums is The Mystery of the Chess Box or something like that. So so they kind of like they branch off their own mystique in their own songs, which is another phenomenal thing they do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they're doing like, again, 7 Chambers and 7 Chambers Part 2 and all this shit. And I want to bring up the fact that in Shame on a, they sample Thelonious Monk.
Yes. Which, it's like, again, nothing about this should work.
No.
But it does, and it's it's definitely in my top 5 hip hop albums of all time.
Fuck yeah.
It's so front to back. It's crazy. It has the angry moments. Like I said, I was going through a breakup, so I could relate to that. But it's also like such nerdy, like these movies I watched on cable are getting referenced.
Yes.
That I thought nobody else was watching.
Mm-hmm. Dude, Executioners of the Shaolin. Like, what the fuck, man? This is awesome. I mean, and they are sampling. And again, it's sloppy. Like, it doesn't really have a flow per se because they're doing so many different samples. And God bless RZA for being able to fucking make it work and putting it together. But
I'll say that for their whole career because he's kind of like the one who has to wrangle them all together.
This is what I'm saying.
You can read up on it, but like every time they're going to do an album, it's always like somebody wants to hold out or something. And he has to he's like the peacekeeper. Like I couldn't imagine not only coming up with all this vision and all this, and then having to deal with 9 different or 8 other personalities. That's got to be just rough. Yeah,
right. And the way that they did that, right, on the album, the A side is Shaolin Sword, and the B side is Wu-Tang Sword.
Yeah. It's awesome. I actually own this on vinyl. I love this album. So
Good. You should.
Oh God. Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, those 3 are the ones that really kind of stand out. I mean, again, there's the hit, Cream, I think, is fantastic, and Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, which is just wild and weird
and fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Protect Your Neck. Again, that to me, it's Bring the Ruckus. It's Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. It's Protect Your Neck. Like, those are my 3 biggies. But again, from start to finish, you can't be bored with this album. It's just so good. Yeah, okay, is there the interludes? You know what? Sure, there's the interludes. But in a way, it works. because it gives you kind of a pause, and you're like, all right. But I mean, what rap group is putting out a 7-minute song, right? Like
1993.
In 1993. I mean, these are long ass tracks. You know, can it all be so simple? That's an interlude. It's a 7-minute interlude, and it works. I mean, again, it's not my fave, but it works. But right before that, you had Wu-Tang, the 7 Chamber, where you had fucking 8 of them rapping. I mean, 7 of them rapping on it.
Yeah, well, like the production was like they couldn't all fit in the studio, so they would have to, like, you know, maximum was like 8 people, so one would have to sit out.
Oh, so genius. I mean, I get it. I mean, fuck, man. But yeah, is there a bad track on this album? No.
The interludes just kind of like thread it together. I mean, it's not like it's done poorly. Like, there's hip hop albums where the interludes just like pop in and they're pretty jarring and like that they don't really belong there. It's just almost filler. Yeah. Here it's not. They're funny, but it's just. I'm just, you know, I want them to end so I can get to the next song, you know?
Yep. No, me too. I mean, yeah, you can't. As soon as you put on as soon as you put on, you know, the first track, bring the motherfucking ruckus, you know what you're in for, man. And let me tell you something. I was picking up a buddy of mine from St. Cloud to help me do shit. And I had this shit just blaring. And I didn't even feel bad. Like, you know, like I'm stopping at a fucking red light and I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I kept it up and my windows down.
Oh yeah, I did that today, driving around running errands. It was great. It's just like it's you know, because it also feels like lo-fi, you know, almost, because just like how, you know, they didn't have a whole lot of money to make the album, so, you know, they kind of get more refined and polished as they move along, but like, God, it's just. You know, you pull to a stop sign, you know, have your window down, you know, fucking Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, or Cream, or Bring the Ruckus. It's just like, people look.
Oh, they look. And you know what? Let them look. Fuck them. If they don't know it, they can burn in hell.
Yeah. I really, this album just, it's so, again, it's all these weird themes going into it that just like check off all the boxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's weird. It's almost like this album is made for weirdos like you and me, Paul.
I have to completely agree with you, man. Like I'm all in. I'm all in on Wu-Tang philosophy. I don't give a fuck. You got two pasty ass white dudes from the Midwest. Deal with it.
Who can relate to your album? Yeah, it's wild. It's wild that it worked. Getting all these giant personalities in. I mean, like. All these guys on their own have huge, wildly successful solo careers.
Have great solo careers. And they all deserve it. They're all fucking talented.
Yeah, and the only group I can think of that comes close to like having that sort of thing happen would probably be like NWA, where you have like Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and Ice Cube. MC Ren, you know, wasn't as, you know, but those are like 3 huge names in a group. And this one's like, they're all.
Yeah, this is I would dare to say this is probably hip hop's first and real like organic fucking supergroup. Yeah. Like this was a supergroup from the start. Like this wasn't, you know, you hear about in rock, you hear about supergroups, you know. But they're typically formed, you know, they're
after the fact after everybody's been established.
Yeah, but you had this as their debut, and you had this talent on there, and none of these guys. I think they all had the you know, the aspirations, but none of these guys had, you know, nothing to really. They had no egos because they had no start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were nobodies when this
nobodies when this first came out, and every one of them is a fucking somebody now.
Yeah, this album like pretty much catapulted each and every member into like their own stratosphere, and it's wild. Like you said, it's like this is organic. They all kind of came together. It's like, you know, it's like almost like the Beatles, where each member is wildly talented and worthy of like superstardom on their own, and they're like in this one little weird group.
Yeah, Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I can't. You got RZA, GZA. What else is there? I mean, Ghostface. I mean, where do you go? I mean, what the fuck? I'm floored by the talent on this.
Yeah, right. It's wild. It's and it's just, it feels like, like this could have only happened at that time. Like it's weird. Like I don't see an album like this coming out again.
No.
Maybe, but it just.
I don't. I don't see something like this happening again, because unfortunately, music now is so manufactured.
Yeah.
And if you had a group like this, you'd have someone trying to pull out. Like if this happened now, someone would take a look at RZA and pull him out and try to do something. Someone would take ODB, pull him out and try to do. They wouldn't let something like this happen. Because they'd go, wow, we got 8 talents, separate them, and
we can monetize on them individually.
Absolutely, yes, and that's the problem. That's the problem now. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, dude, I can't say enough good things about this album.
Yeah,
we needed this.
Yeah, we needed this after Saint Anger. That was a rough go, and Duran certainly didn't help.
No, it did not, sir. It's. I mean, what else do you want to say, Joe? I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a long ass album.
Yeah,
I don't know what else.
Yeah, it's just great front to back, and that's kind of like the rough thing when we do these albums. Like the good albums, we'll tend to speak short on because they're phenomenal, and like, what more can we add? It feels like the bad albums were just raging against that machine.
Right. Now, I guess let's talk about the accolades for this album, right? I mean, because we can definitely do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there's this album seemed like, I mean, it's no secret, it's generally beloved by music journalists, music listeners, and the like. So. God,
yeah.
What I'm looking at here, about.com. Best rap albums of 1993, number 1. Blend or CD now. Hip hop's 25 greatest albums of year 1980 to 98, number 1.
Yep.
And that's all. And I agree. Like, as much as I love The Chronic by Dr. Dre, this tops it for me.
It does. Me too. And I love The Chronic, but yes, this tops it for me. Ego Trip. It's the number 1 from 1980 to 1998. It's no one has a bad thing to say about this album. Nobody.
Yeah, cool. I mean, this is this is a hell of an album to try to top. And that's another thing you get when you have such a strong debut album. It's always going to be difficult. Christ, you listen to this and it's like, it reminds me of it's hard to top that. And I remember, hindsight to think Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. Yep. That'd be hard to top. Did they ever top it? Nope. No, they did not. No.
You can't argue it. No, they didn't. Yeah. And let's also say this album went 3 times platinum. It went triple platinum. All right. And is there other stuff good? Yes. Is it as good as this? In my opinion, no. They got some really good stuff, but this to me is this is the Wu-Tang.
Yeah, this is the pure. This is like Twin Peaks for Return.
Yeah,
Wu-Tang. Where they're as weird as they want to be. They're young, they're hungry. They have crazy ideas and they're making it work.
Yep.
Even though a lot of these shouldn't be working.
No.
You can't have a 9-member hip hop group.
No, and it took them 4 years to make the next album.
Yeah.
And I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's great. It's good. It's really, really good. It's a great, it is. It's a phenomenal album. I don't want to take away from it. And it's long. It's a double album.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one like everybody we knew in high school owned.
Yes, this is the one that everyone owned. It's a double fucking album. And it's great. I mean, if you're gonna follow up on something you just did, that's what you do. They did it right. Wu-Tang Forever. But I personally love this album more, but just because of what I think for me, what it was. You know what I mean? It was the first go, and it just is solid as fuck.
Yeah, and they're not dealing. They don't have the egos at this point. You know,
No.
That's another thing. If you read up, like it's tough. Like when these guys get together to do something, it's damn near impossible to make it work. And it's just not surprising. There's so many personalities, and going in, it's hard to sustain a band with 3 or 4 members. 9 members, hats off to RZA, because I would never want that job.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how you would. I don't know how, especially with ODB. I mean, how do you rein that fucker in along with 8 other people or 7 other people?
I think shortly after the second album, he ended up going to prison, so they had to forge on without that personality for a while.
Yes. So he did end up going to prison. He had, like I said, he had this thing, and didn't he end up God? I remember
there was a reality show.
There was a reality show, but there was a Grammy bomb. He was the first Kanye.
Yeah. God, I forget what that was.
Was that when he went up on stage and called himself Big? That's when he got the name Big Baby Jesus, I think. Because that's the first time I remember him referring to himself as Big Baby Jesus, is when he did the Grammy bomb.
Yeah. Well, because they lost or something, and then
he came up with a flag or something. Ah, man, this was a while ago. But yeah, I was thinking about that. It was the 1998 Grammys. That's what it was.
Yeah, they lost to Diddy.
Which that never should have happened.
No.
And he fucking went up on stage and referred to himself as Big Baby Jesus. And oh my God. Yeah.
And it's interesting. I had a bootleg of it at one point. He has an unreleased album called A Sun Unique.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. And I don't know why. I'm guessing it's publishing rights issues, because there's everybody's on it, because he made it, I believe, when he got out of prison. And there's a very short window from when he got out of prison and when he died. And he did this album, and it's phenomenal. I shared on Facebook that you saw today, his cover of "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" with Macy Gray.
Dude, he did such good, and like I said,
let's also remember, Old Dirty Bastard did a cover of "Susudio" by Phil Collins.
Yes, and he covered Buttercup, "Build Me Up, Buttercup." I mean, what the fuck, man? And again, we can talk about him. I mean, Method Man. What did he do? He went on to he hooked up with Redman, and that became huge.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. They had those, because they were doing movies for a while. Man.
Mm-hmm. We all know Ghostface Killah. He went off to do a bunch of shit. He's in movies, TV.
Raekwon has one of probably my favorite solo albums of theirs. He released one in I think 2009, 2010, and it was really good. Dr. Dre's on it. It was that far into your career, and you're kicking out a fucking amazing album like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and Masta Killa took him a while, but he did some shit, and he was doing stuff with MF Doom and Pete Rock, and I mean, absolutely. I mean, Inspectah Deck. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. These guys, they're just the talent.
Yeah, all the talent, and almost every song in this album is just it's just fucking great.
It's great. And again, okay, I'm gonna come up with some kind of criticism. So I am the flow. Okay, the flow, like we talked about a little bit, going from track to track to track is a little jarring. Yeah, it totally is a little jarring. because there's such different themes, there's different things. But at the same time, the fact that Riz is pulling from the same movies, that and it has the verbiage and stuff. There is this thread that goes through, but it is a frayed thread. It is a really, really frayed thread.
And I think a lot of that's also the money issue. Like this is shoestring budget, man, putting this together. Like it's a miracle they actually got this album made in the first place.
Right. But the fact that they did, I'm happy about it.
Yeah, it's a raw album. It's a very raw sounding album too. It's like we throw around the word punk rock a lot, but this is very punk rockish in how raw and DIY it is. Like it's amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. It is absolutely amazing. So no, that's what I have to recommend. I have to say it's the shit.
Yeah, I'll recommend it too. This is an essential. If you're kind of like dipping your toes into hip hop, this better be one of the first albums.
Yeah.
You listen to, because it's just done damn near perfectly on this album.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to get in the hip hop, you want to do shit, man, listen to this and figure out how they did it, because if you can do that, you've now hit solid gold. Because
they sample The Way We Were by Barbra Streisand on this album.
They sample fucking Gladys Knight, man.
Yeah. They sample Biz Markie.
Dude, you gotta sample
Gladys
Biz
Knight
Markie.
and the Pips, Otis Redding, like it's just the Jackson 5. Like it's wild. Like none of this should work.
None of it. None of it should work. But it does.
I am glad we listened to this, Paul.
Me too. I needed this. We both needed this, I think, after the doldrums that we've been in.
Yeah, we've been punishing each other, and
we have.
Yeah, and there's only so many bad albums I can listen to.
There is only so many bad albums.
It's like how the sausage is made. I listen to each album we do. I listen to multiple times.
Yep.
And when it's a stinker, it's rough.
It's rough. It's rough. All right, Joe. Let's do plugs. What do you got, buddy? What do you got coming up?
This week we'll be releasing our on the Joe-Down. The Joe-Down, we will be releasing our review of Xanadu, the Olivia Newton-John vehicle. Also starring one of the lead actors from a movie that ODB references. The male leads, like the guy from The Warriors.
Yes. Oh, Xanadu.
Oh yes, come out and play.
We love Patrick David Kelly. And so does ODB. Oh man, that's awesome. Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, after that we'll be doing so it's kind of like I'm planning this it's almost feels like a double feature, because it's kind of like in the same vein. We'll be following up that review with Zardoz.
Ooh, God. Oh, have you seen Zardoz before?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God.
John Connery in a weird Borat one suit.
The penis is bad. The penis is evil. Oh my God, dude. You're in for a rough ride for that one.
Oh, I find that movie hilarious.
I sprung that on a group of people. I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to do a mystery science night. I pulled out Zardoz.
Well, nobody's prepared for that, Paul.
No, they weren't. No, that was basically a one and done.
They probably kicked you out, didn't they? Get out of here, Paul.
I was nobody's favorite. I was nobody's favorite on that one. So on my end, we talked about beforehand. Right now, I just got to get us caught up. There's so much shit out there, and I got to get us caught up. So by the time you hear this, you'll be going like, well, what the fuck do you mean you got to get caught up? You will see there's just a shit ton that needs to get done. So that's where I'm at. So, Joe, you want to know what we're going to do next week?
Oh, God. What are we doing next week?
We are sticking with this kind of theme. We're going to move ahead to 2003, when a man that you and I both love decided it was time for him to be a man and put out a rap album. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Pat Boone?
The cream of the crop.
Oh, Macho Man.
Macho Man. Be a man. His debut rap album. Yeah.
It's going to be terrible. Doesn't he have like a Hogan diss track on there too?
It's the title track, Be a Man.
Oh
yes.
boy.
Yes, he has yes, it is you're in for it. It's a 14-track rap album, 45 minutes long, by Macho Man Randy Savage, featuring DJ Cool, Asia, Primary Colors. So this is a thing that happened. And we'll get into this more because this is my thing, Joe, and I've hinted at this for a while. I have a fetish. Among many, but I have a music fetish. And if someone who's an actor or a celebrity or anything that didn't have a career in music puts out a music album, I have to own it.
So you own Return of Bruno by Bruce Willis?
I own Return of Bruno. I own all of William Shatner stuff.
Don Johnson's album with Stevie Ray Vaughan?
Heartbreak, yes, I own that. Juliette Lewis and the Licks, Minnie Driver, Billy Bob Thornton. Oh yeah, dude, I'm all in. I am all fucking in. And when this came out, I was all over this album. And I'm interested to get your take because for me, I love this shit. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm really curious to see what you think of Macho Man from an objective point of view, what you think of Be a Man by Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, the cream rises to the top.
It always rises to the top, Mean Gene. The cream rises to the top. Oh, yeah. Did you know for that thing, he had like 3, and he like, Macho Man was a really interesting dude. We'll talk about that on the next one because I really want to get into it.
Well, he was like a budding baseball star at one point. Yeah, he's got an interesting life story.
He dabbled in magicianry, and that was one of the things he did with that cream of the crop. He was using only 3. He grabbed a whole bunch of them and was actually pocketing them and doing sleight of hand. While he was doing that, and Mean Gene was trying not to laugh during that whole fucking thing. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, just look up Macho Man Cream of the Crop. It's probably one of his best promos.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy. I know a bit about his life story. He's also very protective about his towels on the road, which is one of my favorite wrestling podcast stories I've ever heard. I forget who it was, but like
Bruce Pritchard
hit his towels, and he's like, "What do you don't fucking touch my towels?
Don't touch my towels." Oh yeah, no, he was.
Yeah, he was also he was quite abusive too to Miss Elizabeth.
He was, and again, we can't glorify. There's roids, man. I mean, it was the roids, and let's be honest. And then what does she do? She runs off with Lex Luger and ends up ODing. Miss Elizabeth had a rough life.
Her life. Yeah, it wasn't just Randy that was ruining her life, but yeah, it's a tragic story all around.
Yeah, and they did a Dark Side of the Ring about it, which I'm excited for. By the way, the new season starts, I think, this week.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have cable, so I don't know.
They put them on YouTube, so just check them out.
Yeah. I'll check them out, yeah. Because I watched the Miss Elizabeth one. That's where I know a lot of that. And I watched a documentary on Randy Savage at one point that was made. I'm not sure where. It might have been WWE Network when I had that for a while, but
no, it was there's been quite a few things out there. So this is his 2003 rap debut album, Be a Man.
Well, Spotify says 2005, Paul.
Yeah, it does. Probably because I don't know why, but it debuted in 2003.
It's probably when the rights or whatever were. I don't know.
Really?
That's just where the copyright is at. So that's that shit was finalized or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean,
renegotiated or something.
You got tracks like Tear It Up, Be a Man, Feel the Madness, and My Perfect Friend, which is a tribute to the late Kurt Hennig.
Oh yeah, Mr. Perfect.